gentlemen, welcome to Wrestling Art with Chris Things.
Ray! Do the hammer lock! I do the hammer lock! Ray! Do the hammer lock, you turkey necks! Yeah, do the hammer lock! I do the hammer lock!
Everybody's doing it. Hi friends, welcome to Wrestling Art with Chris Things. I am Chris of the Chris Things, and this is my little podcast. We're back here for a match of the week edition of the podcast. It's been a hot minute since we did this thing, but one of my very favourite special kind of episodes that we do here, where we I talk to my different pals from all around the world about these little weekly matches that I pick to make an illustration of, and I'm up to like bloody 144 of them or something over at Chris Things on the Instagram, and we talk about the matches. We sometimes talk a little bit about the art, and I love doing it. So this time we're going to be getting a little bit caught up on some of our matches with dear pal of the show, Bradley, who'll be joining us a little bit later. But in the meantime and in between time, I thought I'd say hello and let you know what I've had going on. Now we're doing this on a fortnightly basis, and before that we had that little break where I, lost my mind in making all the art for my current art show. So I thought I'd have a little chat with you, let you know what's been happening in the life of this wrestling artist. But yeah, man, last time I spoke to you, I think I had the Great Artist Market, which is one of the really big ones we have in Brisbane. It's on Howard Smith Wharves. They've got this big brewery, Fallon's Brewing Co., and the big old barrel room, and it's a beautiful spot right near one of the real sort of like scenic vistas of the Brisbane city, the Story Bridge and the river and all of that. And they just put on such an excellent market. It's one of those things you do as an artist, and you're like, makes you feel like, man, this is bloody cool. And I was stoked to be back. I was really, really happy to be doing it. It's a super competitive market, so last time I think I applied, I wasn't actually successful in my application, and then I got like so down on myself, I'm like, oh man, maybe I suck, and all these like stupid thoughts. And then I spoke to some other friends, and then I got accepted for this one, and I'm like, oh, okay, it's just a super competitive thing, and it's important for them to sort of like change up the artists and keep things fresh, so you can't be having the exact same lineup every single time. So that was one of those little things where you look at yourself as an artist, and you're like, dude, why do I beat myself up so much? Made it all the better to sort of be back doing this one, and for it to be as wonderful a day as it was. I was like back inside the sort of like main barrel room. So when they have these events, you have sort of like the indoor area, and then the outdoor area. And then, for the last little while, I was kind of, my preference was doing the outside ones. It's a little bit more spaced out, a little bit more chill. But this time they chucked me inside, and I was like, all right, I'm just happy to be there, full stop. But it was like wild. I think the inside probably gets like more foot traffic, and this day was just insane. For the most part of it, I was like doing it just like on my own, which, I take a bit of pride in being able to do that. I feel like I should be able to do that as an artist. It's my job at the end of the day, no one else's. And I was just blown away by how crazy this thing was, dude. I was just like, my mind was blown. I was like, there was points where I had like long ass lines and stuff, and it did really, really well. So, going from one moment of being like, oh man, I suck and no one wants my art and it's not good enough to be accepted to these markets, to like then, being accepted in a day going amazing. It's very illustrative of the roller coaster that we ride in doing art as a job. So that was awesome. I wanted to say so big a thank you to everyone that I got to see on that day. And I turned it around, and we had this past weekend Print-O-Rama. So this was a brand new expo art market kind of thing, more celebrating kind of like the print media side of things, I guess. It was put together two of my great art friends in the Brisbane art scene, James Bourbon and Amy Crow of Forge Forward. And they're two people that I've been really stoked to get to, have a bit of a relationship with and talk shop and talk about, this life. And, it kind of makes me feel a little bit, better about like, these moments where I feel insecure and lonely and all that kind of stuff. It's nice to bring it all together, but this was such an excellent event. Another one that was absolutely massive. I did, most of it on my own. And my parents did pop in, briefly, but I think they were a bit overwhelmed by, the amount of people that were there. They were just like, all right, bye. But it was very nice to see them. But yeah, other than that, it was a funny one because it was like in the sort of like a suburban area off of like a football field, like a little sort of like community hall in suburban Ashgrove at the Newmarket Hall. This was their first ever event for this Print-O-Rama thing, which, the idea is it's going to be a big old massive touring expo. And if they've got the next one booked in for bloody Perth, which I'd love to do, but I've got another commitment on the same day, sadly. But this thing was so good because they collected such a wonderful array of different local and interstate artists. The quality of everyone there was so high. You could just look around and you're just like, everyone here is good. And you have a little voice in the back of your head. You say, well, what am I doing here? But again, that's that part that we need to work on to try to silence those non-helpful voices, right? But yeah, man, it was just a really good day. The community element, like between the other artists and getting to chat to different artists, and that bit is really, really good. I got to have some wonderful conversations with different people, and sell my art and all of that kind of lovely stuff. And I was so honored that there's a few people that said they came specifically to see me and to see my art. And I got that as well at the Great Artist Market, and that is something that's just so nice and so good. And in the moment, I'm just like, what? But so grateful for it. So I don't know if any of y'all happen to be listening here today. Please know that absolutely made my day. As well as everyone. I had such amazing chats, and it really filled up my cup. To the point where I was thinking the other day, like especially for those kind of like lower moments where you are a little bit more on the negative train. I think it's important. I'm going to start like, a little journal or something, a little thing to just keep track of those nice things, to remind myself of them. I think that's going to be a good thing, and something I'd probably recommend to any other artists out there. Keep a little journal of those wins. I think 'cause it's so easy. I find for myself, I'll have something really cool happen, or get accepted to something, or have some great opportunity come along or whatever. And then rather than take any time to sort of like fully, or take enough time to fully, have proper gratitude for that, I'm just like, all right, well, what's next? What's the stressful element of this that I can focus on? Or how am I going to be able to screw this up? So I think it's important to recognize the cool things when they happen for what they are, and to keep a log of those so you can flip through a little book or notes or an album on your phone or something to be able to do that. Because I have so many things about doing this job that I just am blown away and taken aback by, whether it's like I've done something that's like meant something to someone, or if I get messages of people say that what I'm doing is somehow inspiring for them to be making stuff. That is always just an incredible thing. Or even like seeing what people have done if they've like bought some of my art prints and then they've put a lot of effort into putting them into this like wonderful, awesome frame. I love like the thrift store framing thing, of course. But whatever it is, there's so many things that I can really look at and I'm like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. I think I need to keep track of that a little bit more for those future moments when I'm like, not feeling so good, mental health wise or whatever else. So that's what I'm going to try to do going forward. That's what I'd recommend to you guys to do. I'm not like saying that in a way that I don't appreciate it, all this stuff. I certainly do, but I'm just saying I think I need to sort of try to soak it up a little bit more and log it to be able to come back to for those other moments. But yeah, we've after that I was absolutely smashed. I got through the pack up and dude, I was doing it on my own and like I was packing up, and normally when you pack up for some of these expos, it's like you pack up and it takes you an hour or an hour and a half or whatever. It's not a big deal. It's like there's always stuff that needs to be done on these big scale events. But for this one, for whatever reason, it got to like probably 40 minutes after pack up started and everyone else was done. And I was like the last one there, sitting there like with my crap all over the place. And clearly they wanted to get out of there. I felt so guilty. And then James and Amy and some of their other helpers were coming over trying to help me like pack up, and my brain was so scattered all over the place. I was like trying to be like, oh well, I guess this normally goes here or this normally goes here. Sometimes trying to like tell other people what where the things need to go is like a whole difficult thing on its own. And I just felt awful. It was such a crappy end to the day because I was like so stoked with the day. And then I was like, oh man, I suck so much that they had to end up helping me, and I ended up being this like obligation to them. Like anyway, I apologized afterwards, and they said it's all fine. But yeah, and then I finished, and it just felt like the soul had left my body, dude. I was just like so dead, from a big day of talking to all the people, the driving down from the Sunshine Coast that morning probably didn't help looking back, and then setting up the day that was, packing down. Anyway, we got through it, Pat. I'm very thankful for it, and it was absolutely awesome. So thank you so much to everyone who I got to talk to and everyone who supported on the day, of course. So good. And then now we look forward to next weekend. I have the illustration fair, which is another massive one. 2 days at the Brisbane showgrounds. And it's one of the bigger ones that we have of the year here too, more focusing on specifically the illustration side of this art stuff. I'd say definitely the biggest of that that we have in Brisbane, full stop. So I'm absolutely stoked to be there. I'd recommend everyone come out if you would like to. It's like gold coin donation or something, super cheap and affordable to get to. So I'm very excited about that. That's coming up next weekend in Brisbane, like I said, at the showgrounds on the 18th and 19th of July. And then the night of the 19th, I'm doing it all over again. We got Cult Lucha coming back, baby, at Netherworld, where we're going to be showing an absolutely amazing movie this time round. What is it? We're focusing this time, the first time, on the Luchadores. This has been something I've been meaning to do for like the whole time, so I'm absolutely stoked that we get to lean into that. So my tag partner in crime, Andrew Leovold, of trash video. We're doing it all over again. The night of Sunday, July 19th. It's going to be Cult Lucha 7, 8, I don't know. I have to look at those. But it's the Luchadores, the wrestling women versus the Killer Ape. Las Luchadoras contra el Médico Asesino from 1963. I am very excited about this one. Mad, evil medical assassin and his killer ape. Yes, please. Please come and join us if you want. But yeah, man, I'm trying to focus on these exciting things coming up. Always trying to balance it out, and then be as productive as I can in between the things, of course. I'm currently in the midst of doing a painting for the upcoming Weekend of Darkness art show at the Scratch. And that's sort of their big dark beer festival. That's always one of the biggest things they do there for the year, and they have a concept they've tied it this time into satanic Muppets. So I'm very excited to be doing something with that absolutely amazing concept. And the other last thing that I'll finish on in this long-winded intro is we have, so before the art goes up on the wall for the Weekend of Darkness, is going to be the last opportunity for y'all, if anyone who hasn't already, who wants to catch my current solo art show that I've got up at the Scratch, that I'm very proud of. It is the Chris Things 2026 Los Luchadores versus the Cryptids. This is my love letter to all of the cryptid conspiracy theory kind of stuff that is I've really enjoyed and listened to a lot of podcasts and weird movies and stuff of. I adore this silly thing. I adore Bigfoot. I adore everything Sasquatch. I still completely believe that the Patterson Gimlin film is real, despite people saying otherwise. But I had a lot of fun doing this show, and yeah, I'm going to make sure to go down when I drop off this painting tomorrow night and do a special kind of soaking up of seeing it maybe one last time, I don't know. But that will be up on the walls of the Scratch Bar until about next week, I think. I said there might be, we'll probably be taking it down. So I'd recommend, if you do want to see, this show while it's up in its entirety, my 2026 body of work, all up on the beautiful Scratch art wall, I'd recommend dropping in perhaps this weekend or early next week. But yeah, thank you so much to the Scratch, and thank you to everyone out there that supports the Chris Things. I couldn't do this without you guys. And the ups and the downs and the roller coaster. I want you guys to be part of it. That's why I do these long-winded intros. This one's probably a bit longer than normal. But I just want to let you know that I appreciate you. And I'm still very, very much enjoying doing this thing. And I see it as a privilege that I get to do it. So I hope you guys have a wonderful week. I mean, this isn't the wrap-up. I still have a whole chat go on with Brad. So, man, I'm all over the place today. Anyway, christhings.com.au is the place to go to buy the stuff. And please don't hesitate to swing me a message on there or on the Instagram at christhings. If you ever want to say hello or let me know what you're up to or let me know what you're working on. Or let me know if you're ever after anything, any commissions or anything like that. I'd love to get something locked into the books if you have a fun commission idea. Anyway, thanks so much, and let's throw over to Chris and Brad in the Match of the Week studio. ladies and gentlemen. We're back at the match of the week side of this podcast for the first time in a little while, and I am absolutely delighted to be being joined by my dear pal and friend of the show, Bradley. Welcome back, Bradley. Oh, I always love us getting to chop it up about some lovely wrestling matches, and I have some ones that I am personally very interested to see what you think of them.
Uh, I think by the end of this, you're going to think to yourself, you know what? Exactly what I expected Brad would think. I don't think there's going to be anything here where you go like, well, that's not the opinion I thought from Brad. It's like, no, it'll be about what you thought.
So, our matches for discussion today. We got match of the week 127 through 129. I don't even know when I did these. At least would have been a little bit earlier in the year. We do have some catching up to do. We're now up to match of the week like 143 or 44 or something. So we got some catching up, but I feel like we're heading in the right direction with doing a triple header here today. But so in advance of our conversation, we're going to be talking about the incredible shoot style match from the Death Valley Days Road Report show, the Carl Malenko's big return to professional wrestling in first match in a long time against the tremendous Matt Mako or Matt Makowski. We also have a wonderful indie tag team dream match between the Briscoe brothers and the Murder City Machine Guns, otherwise known as the Motor City Machine Guns, from Prime era Ring of Honor. Absolutely tremendous match, and then finishing it up with a classic El Satánico match that I remember being really excited to watch when Satánico was retiring. A classic against the very young Atlantis from the early '80s. So 3 very different matches.
Yeah, we got a wide range of just like even what I expect going into them, like a shoot style, like the classic ROH, like that I know I'm a big fan of, and some lucha, which, as I say every time, not necessarily my thing, but like when I'm on the podcast, I try and find the bits of it I do enjoy. Like I don't want to come on here just to shit on it, so nice. I did. So yeah, excited to talk about all 3.
I mean, I am aware that in the past, one of the few lucha matches that I have gotten you to watch that you were like, this is my kind of lucha, was an Atlantis match.
Was it? What match was that?
Do you have any hazy memories of Atlantis versus Dr. Wagner Jr. in Arena Mexico?
Was that a very bloody match?
I think there might have been
maybe
some blood and mask tearing, but the main bit that always sticks in my memory is the incredible introduction part of it, of the doctor, Dr.
Yes,
Wagner
yes.
Jr. being
In
brought
his
by
office.
his nurse assistant. The scans end up being a printout of Atlantis's face. It's like, what?
Yes.
This angers me.
Well, I assume that Atlantis got a lot better by the time I saw that match. Like,
I mean,
so
it was only what, like 20, going on 20 years. This one took place in 1984, and I want to say that match that we were talking about was from like 2004. So,
yeah,
yeah, I guess 20 years experience probably makes you a little bit more well-rounded as a worker.
yeah. That's right. We'll talk about that when we get to that match.
But at a glance, all right, I feel like I know which way this is going to go, but any connective tissue here, despite these matches being very different.
There really isn't this time. Like I'm not, like I couldn't spot like a theme. It's I don't even like know how to talk about these matches like in the same sort of language as each other. You know, like they're so different, and even in what they're trying to do. That yeah, no, it's super diverse this time.
It's kind of like a trio that's a little bit like Wrestling Club, where it's like three matches that are just like batshitly insanely contrasting with one another.
Yeah,
But three matches, all of which I enjoyed tremendously.
yeah, I enjoyed most of them.
Love this. All right, so I I guess one of the things here is so for me, I reckon like everyone generally loves this kind of like era of Ring of Honor stuff. It's just so easy to love, like super athletically impressive, like the work's great, like it's very I don't know. It'd be hard to watch this match and not just be like, man, this is bloody awesome. Whereas like generally speaking, I find from like talking to different people about wrestling, um, shoot style wrestling and lucha, especially retro lucha, are two things that like not everyone necessarily gets on board with. You know?
Yeah, and yes, that's sort of where I'm at with the shoot style stuff. It's not my biggest thing with it was like I don't know how to talk about it. Like I was
Right.
worried about like coming on this podcast because I'm like I enjoyed the match that we're going to talk about that we're talking about.
Hmm.
But as I was watching it, I'm like everything they're doing, I'm enjoying and I get what they're doing, but I still don't. I haven't watched enough of shoot style stuff to really understand or like have the vocab to be know what to talk about because it's like with a normal in inverted commas with a normal wrestling match like there's like a potential like a story that they might be telling and maybe that was here but like I'm more looking at it and sort of seeing it's like oh this looks like MMA and
Right.
so like to me I'm more getting the read of it as a well if I saw this as an MMA match this is a super entertaining MMA match but as a wrestling match I'm like I don't quite get it. I don't want
Okay.
to say I
Well,
don't get it. Like I get what they're trying to do, but I don't know how to like frame it in the way that I would normally frame a wrestling match.
Right. Yeah, yeah, I totally get you. I think that's like it's a fascinating thing to like talk about as sort of like a like an entry point to talking about shoot style wrestling. Because yeah, like a lot of people who are just like, oh man, if I wanted to watch like fake MMA, I'd just watch like real MMA. It's like they sort of see it as like this is just pretending to be an MMA fight. Whereas I guess the lens that I look at shoot style wrestling is it's just a more realistic version of professional wrestling, where they're just putting a lot more work into it um, to make it feel like less of a work and like more of a fight. But
Yeah,
when you watch it when it's done well, it's still in its heart professional wrestling, if you follow me. Like you still have like this sort of like uh the things that make a great professional wrestling match, I think, are exactly what make a great shoot style match. And that's generally like the heart that you're seeing, like the whole sort of like fighting spirit kind of deal. A lot of the time you can even get situations, as we saw in the last wrestling club with that Yuki Ishikawa versus Kazunari Murakami match, where you even have like a real distinct like um, bad guy versus good guy kind of like vibe.
yeah,
But just generally speaking, a bit less of a theatrical presentation.
yeah. And like that's where it's tough because like even like real MMA fights, like they can often lead into the theatricality of it a bit to so like it already blends together a bit. So
Hmm.
it's just blending from the other way, like the wrestling trying to look realer as opposed to like the MMA trying to look more theatrical and more bombastic.
Hmm.
Um, but
Yeah. I mean, I think the biggest thing for me. So before we get any further away, let me get the official intro in here. So, match of the
yeah.
week 127. This was our Battlearts Rules bout from the Action Wrestling Death Valley Days Road Report event from the TWE Arena in Red Bank, Tennessee. This was a fantastic show that got nothing but praise at the time. A real like deep cut return to form of the kind of like Dean shows, sort of more similar to the OG one, than sort of like the sequels involving AEW that were not quite the same vibe. So this really had that gritty kind of like tiny little arena, like hardcore kind of fans, and yeah, I think two most well received matches from that show were this one. Carl Malenko versus Matt Mako or Matt Makowski, as well as the tremendous Slade versus Mad Dog McConnelly just match that was wonderful in totally different ways. So I guess the name of the game for this show was like the extreme sort of like contrast that we got through the card. But I would highly recommend that one, everyone. It took place on what do we have here? February 28th of this year. And I remember like in the lead up to this, just being super excited for the return of Carl Malenko. Like he was one of the real like great gaijins of like shoot style wrestling in Battle Arts back in the day. Some wonderful matches with like Yuki Ishikawa and that whole sort of like scene, Daisuke Ikeda, all those kind of guys, and he sort of really came in right at kind of the dying point of shoot style wrestling in Japan. Sadly, sort of like in the early 2000s, after like the big heyday of the original UWF or UWFI with Takada, or rings with Akira Maeda or Pancrase or any of that kind of good stuff. So he was always really one of those guys that I feel like never got the proper due, because you watch like his matches and he's absolutely rad. So the idea
Yeah.
of him coming back out of retirement in his like senior years, I was just so fascinated by. And I was like really, really intrigued to see what this would be like, because it's one of the things I really love, like blood sport, for example. But one of the kind of negatives that you get a little bit of it is a lot of the American dudes that are doing it, they didn't have the opportunity to be like refining those shoot style skills in like a high level Japanese environment, and like learning from those masters of how to do it. They probably did like a weekend or during the day training thing with Josh Barnett, but like you're not going to get
Yeah.
the same thing compared to actually working these shows for years and learning from the masters. So he's one of the real like legit kind of dudes of it. And I really think Matt Makowski as well is like one of the best of those kind of like current American crop of guys who can do that style. So I was very, very excited for this one. And I can't say enough good things about it. Like I think just watching it with that level of curiosity to be like, oh man, what is Carl Malenko going to be like at this kind of like stage? And this thing was just like short, but like super intense, super exciting. Like I feel like a lot of the people in that crowd might, even be sort of like more in kind of your shoes, where it's like they might not be that familiar, but they were like, oh, I heard this guy's a badass. Let's see what this
Yeah.
is going to be about. And I thought the crowd was like so great for it as well. I really loved the commentary too. I thought that like really brought it to that kind of like next level of having a bit more sort of like proper, like I probably couldn't even tell you half the names of the actual like submissions and counters and moves and stuff like that. But I thought they did a tremendous job of, getting all of that across.
Yeah, and like speaking of the crowd being into it, like yeah, absolutely, they were psyched for it, and like even if they didn't have a lot of experience with the shoot style wrestling, like they were still like A, into it, and B, sort of switched on, because like I learned this from just listening to the commentary or the ring announcer at the start. Like the Battlearts Rules has got the 3 rope breaks, and then if you have a 4th rope break, you're out. And so early on in the match, like the ref was checking to see if the guys were ready to submit, and they didn't see that I think Mako had reached the ropes, and the crowd's yelling it out to him. So he's like, "Oh, I got the rope break there." So like they were switched on to the rules as well to like know that it matters, sort of in particular in this sort of style match, how much that matters. And so like I don't know, even if they didn't know going in, they were on it well enough to be like following along and being engaged with it.
Yeah, and I think that's super impressive because you can watch some of these like blood sport shows, and a big part of it is like the kind of like educating the fans through the card by generally you'll have a few really short matches to start out that like hammer home the submission or knockout finish sort of element, or that you have to do the educational kind of thing to get the people into the
Yeah.
right mode before you get to the real, bigger matches that you want them to sort of be properly invested into those kind of subtleties with. But they were like ready for it off the bat in this one. We didn't need any like preparatory kind of like matches earlier on in the card. They were just there. So I guess that's a big credit to the ring announcer and just also I think that the crowd for this was sort of like a bit of a more hardcore crowd. These aren't just the kind of people like that came to that last Dean show that they did at the ECW arena. After like a Rampage or Collision taping or whatever it was, where they're just like AEW fans that are like, "Oh, what's this then?" This was people who were really seemed to be invested and had that sort of like real openness to want to help make this as good as it possibly could be. And I think they really did.
Yeah. And speaking of the rules, what I really dug, and it's sort of surprising that there hadn't been other matches in the show with sort of this rule set. But I find that oftentimes when you've got a match with different sorts of rules, like because these rules, it's like the 3 rope breaks, standing 8 count, and it has to be a KO or submission. And like that's sort of a little similar with the rope breaks, like ROH's pure title things. And like I've heard other matches with variations of these rules before. And so often the rules are sort of the point of the story of the match. Like, making him get that 3rd rope break is like this big deal, which is like, that's cool. That can be like a good story to have in a match. But like, that wasn't the point of what these guys were doing. Like they had to enforce those rules, but it wasn't like, Malenko's just trying to make him get the rope breaks to get the things. Like, no, they're working, and the rules happen to be there to break him up or whatever as it happens. But the rules weren't the point, it just got to be the match got to be the point.
Yeah, and I mean you definitely see that in a lot of these like sort of pure title matches and the forcing guys to use their rope breaks and all that kind of thing. So yeah, I agree. I just thought it was really refreshing to see how they treated it. That it would just felt very organic, and it was like, all right, this is an excellent use and display of the rules, but it's not like they're really leaning into the gimmick
Yeah.
of it, I guess. And yeah, I thought it was great because I think, yeah, within sort of like the story of it, I loved that we had sort of like the older crafty veteran, and everyone's like, oh, I don't know what he's gonna have left or how he's gonna be, and then sort of the younger, more energetic Mikowski, and sort of I guess to me the bit of the story of it was Carl Greco Malenko like really kind of like weathering the storm, and then like you know that just as any like classic pro wrestling veteran, picking their spot to come in and just like blow him out of the water. And it it's not like we had this long extended like finishing sequence with like near falls or anything like that. It was just so clean and so quick, and you're just like I remember watching it just being like I think this whole match only goes what is it like 8 minutes or 7 minutes or something like
Yeah,
that.
the whole video is 12, so minus entrances. Yeah, it's got to be something like that.
But yeah, I just remember watching it and just being like, man, bravo. This just like I had to rewatch it over again, to kind of like soak up the what I just saw. But I remember watching it and this was like I don't know, sometimes I just get down on wrestling a little bit and everything's like so the same. And I watched this and this just felt like such a breath of fresh air. And I was like, man, more of this, please.
Yeah, and like speaking of that finish, like I really enjoyed the finish as well. Like it's Malenko getting in that knee bar, and then like within seconds of that being locked in, because it's fully locked in, like he's got it barred. It's like so Mako just taps, and like I'm watching it expecting, because it's what happens in every other wrestling match, expecting that like, oh, he's going to drag it to the ropes, because he wasn't that far from the ropes, and like he's on the leg, so like he's got his arms there so he can drag himself forward. But that's not what happens, because he's got a knee bar fully locked in, so Mako has to tap out, because otherwise his leg's going to break. And it's like, it's not something that like I hate in other wrestling, but like sometimes you watch matches where they get that submission locked in, and it's like that's fully locked in. Like you shouldn't be dragging someone to the ropes. That should be it. Like if you don't want someone to tap on that, don't lock it all the way in, because that looks like that should be it. And
Call
so
it the
when it
Kurt
happened,
Angle syndrome.
yeah, and like sometimes even like modern day, like you see Zach do it, or you see like whoever do it, like
Mm.
they've just got it. It's like they've cleanly got this submission hold in, and yet someone's just going to like drag themselves to the ropes for the next 2 minutes. And like I understand, like, and that's not always a bad thing in those matches, but like, and like it adds to this drama, but it's sort of a thing where I'm just like, but that like you're showing me a move that should make someone tap out. Like, so make them tap out. And so in this, it was like when he had it locked in, and then like within seconds, Mako's tapped out. I'm like, oh hell yeah, that's like he had it. Like there's nothing you could do. He had that move. He had to tap out.
I mean, you look at the angle of it, and you're just like, and the
Yeah,
best part is he sort of like ramps it up, like right in the seconds like before he taps, and it's just like, oh yeah, dude. Yeah, especially when you watch it on the replay, it's like, oh yeah, I can totally see how it's like he had no other choice, and he goes from like, I love it, and it's similar that you actually do see in some proper, um, you know, shoot MMA fights, where it's like the guy is in a hold and he's like, "Hang on, no, I think I'm good, I'm good." And then it goes in the span of seconds from like the guy feeling like he has it under control to just be like, "Oh shit, I ain't good," and
yeah,
it's all over. And that's kind of what they did here. I just thought it was so well done.
yeah. It was really enjoyable. Like I said, I wasn't sure I know how to talk about it, but like the bits I liked of it, I'm like, yeah, I understand the appeal of this.
Hmm.
It's sort of like, and I don't know, this is probably for your listeners who are MMA fans as well. Like I've watched a bunch of MMA, but I don't follow it, and I'm not a big fan. Not that I dislike it, but it's just not one of the things I'm into.
Hmm.
But like the downside of MMA is it's like sometimes you just got these long pauses, these slow spots where they're trying to work, and like they're being tentative and whatever, because they're in a fight. Like it makes sense. But
Hmm.
like when you've got the shoot style wrestling, you get all of the like the technicality of an MMA match, but without having to uh, have those slow spots that would happen naturally in real life, because it's a wrestling match still. So you get to just keep working through it. You know that like they know that their opponent's not going to actually slip in a thing that's going to make them tap out if that's not where the match is supposed to go. Like so, there's that bit of freedom to make it entertaining, where it might not be so much in a real MMA fight.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there are sometimes your grey areas where it does get a little bit like contentious and turn into a bit more realism than was originally being planned, and that's some of the great stories throughout the history of shoot style wrestling. Yeah, I just got finished reading the Shamrock, tremendous book that Jonathan Snowden wrote, and about some of the stuff in Pancrase and the fights between Shamrock and like Minoru Suzuki, and the very real moments in some of those, and despite like them sort of being a work in some ways, and man, it's so interesting. I have a lot of love for shoot style wrestling, and it's one of those rabbit holes where when you sort of really get into it and go down the whole history of it and stuff, just absolutely fascinating as a subgenre of professional wrestling, and always something that I'm like, man, I need to go, fully back more into it,
Yeah, I'm just having a quick look at your art for this one as well while we're chatting. You got
Oh
very
yes.
nice man, Carl Malenko in real life and in your art, it's looking great for 56. Just had a quick
Oh
look up
my
when he was
gosh.
born. I'm like, this dude, what a stud.
Life goals, right? I mean, you're
Yeah.
doing pretty good. You've still got the
Yeah,
abs.
but like, I want the hair as well. That nice grey hair with his up in the pony. Oh, good
Silver
looking man.
Fox.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, that was a fun one to do. I remember I took so many different stills through the match itself, and some of the finish and that, but none of them quite captured quite the magic of one of these shots that I remember seeing on Twitter that someone shared of this fight. Or I think maybe it was just maybe they even took like a still of the match itself, and then I think I maybe took some from around that moment.
Yeah.
But like, dude, I think it just captures that. I really love that sort of like, that little bit of a feeling out bit where it's like, you build up those initial moments of contact. Um, and something about sort of like the positions of the hands, like that sort of like you know, open palm strike kind of positioning. Like I just something about this visual that I really liked. Also love the referee in this one. It's just
Shoes.
weirdly interesting to watch. Hey.
Yeah, yeah, shiny shoes. He was the nickname they gave him, at least on
Yes.
commentary. And I'm like, um, it's like I was a bit down on him in the first minute or two because the crowd did have to point out that rope break. But
Hmm.
then after that, I'm like, no, he's on it. He's good.
He was very good throughout the show, actually. Yeah, yeah. I never seen him before, but he won me over. But yeah, no, this was a fun little one to do, and one that was just so organically the match that I really loved the most watching that week, and it was one of those real good sort of like deep cut ones where some of my other buds out there and sort of like the Death Valley Driver review style, Segunda Caída style kind of like fans is the kind of one that I feel like a lot of us kind of like sink our teeth into, as those sort of like deeper cut, like weird shit relics of current professional wrestling. So yeah, I enjoy the heck out of this match, and getting to make the art of it.
Very cool. At fear of going for another 2 hours, I think we need to move on to the next match.
I think
I'm
that's a
looking
good
at it, we're like
call.
28 minutes in. I'm like, we've got two matches to go. We should.
All right, now we go to our longest match of the trio. Again, I have so much love for this era of Ring of Honor. I feel like this was maybe like the last year of the proper like golden years, the proper real like glory era of the company, at least for me. Still some amazing stuff thereafter. I remember like a lot of great stuff in like 2010 Ring of Honor and that incredible like Generico versus Steen feud. And various things, following that, even into like later stage Ring of Honor that a lot of people weren't as favorable of. But I feel like 2007 was such an interesting year for the company because it was like so exciting. Like they got on pay per view. I remember that felt like such a massive thing at the time. The budget like seemed to go up, like to where these shows were in bigger buildings, looking like really like they're investing a bit more budget into it. And yeah, some like you look back on these cards and it's just like such a crazy roster of just like all-time greats when you look at this in the bubble. But so this was the Briscoe brothers, Jay and Mark, against the Murder City Machine Guns, Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley. This one took place on April 28th, 2007 at Ring of Honor's Good Times, Great Memories, Colt Cabana farewell show. at the longtime Chicago home of Ring of Honor, the Frontier Fieldhouse. That man, just watching a show at that venue even just brings me back so much nostalgia. But man, what a bloody match! This is tag team wrestling for me.
Hell yes. Like, I think when you asked me to come on the podcast, I'm like, you said that you had an idea about what would be my favorite match. I assume you thought it was this one, and it was
Yes.
absolutely this one. I was like, I loved this so much. I've seen it before, but still rewatching it, I'm just like, fuck, this is so good. It's like by the end of the match, like just jumping off of what you just said, it's like by the end of the match, I'm like, is tag team wrestling just like the best version of wrestling? I think it might be up. Like after watching a match like this, you're just like, I don't see how singles matches can be as good as this.
It's just about as good as it gets, where you're like maximizing like all four dudes. Like it's transcending just like, you know, two singles wrestlers being together to like dudes that have such amazing chemistry together and working together and like existing as like two as one kind of thing. And the biggest thing that blows me away when I watch this one is just how little a time that like Sabin and Shelley had been actually like teaming together up to this point. Like you watch this match and you're like, oh yeah, those dudes were easily like must have been teaming together for like 5 years or more. No, they like only just started as a team, like doing multiple, you know, shows in different companies for like not even a year up to this point. It's insane.
Yeah, I think on commentary they said 6 or 7 months. So yeah,
Crazy.
and they're just like, yeah, they got perfect chemistry already at that time, which is obviously then continues for the next, you know, decades after. But
I mean, they're both like such great singles wrestlers by this point as well. You know, like I look back and you know, I was a big time fan of Saban. You know, from when I first saw him in TNA back in the day as part of the X Division, like even back in the Nashville Asylum years. And I remember just being so taken by Alex Shelley as well, like from you know, Generation Next. And I always just thought he was like such a cool and interesting character, and he's like wrestling and like crafty sort of like technical wrestling kind of stuff, just so snappy and so awesome. Like I can't say enough good things about either of those dudes. And obviously, don't get me started on the Briscoes.
man, as I was watching the Briscoes, I'm just like, I think this might be sort of the perfect sort of wrestler for Chris. Just because the way they both move, like they've got the they've got the explosive power, they've got the athleticism and like the snappiness of like high level wrestlers, but they're also just like that little bit, I want to say sloppy, but not in a bad way. Like just
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it feels a bit rough the way they do everything. It's not like clean, like say AJ Styles. Like he's also fast and snappy and clean, but like everything he does is like super precise and clean. But the Briscoes, like it's just got that always that bit of like not quite perfect on it, which makes it look so cool as for
Oh,
them
yeah.
especially. Like
That
it just fits them
wildness.
so well. Yeah. It's so perfect for them that you just like, and it makes and again against Saban and Shelley, who again they've got like that snappy precision to it, and so like it gives them that bit of contrast, even though they've got so much stuff that's sort of similar between the two teams. Just like the way they carry themselves and just that little bit extra that goes along with the moves is it helps differentiate them and helps the tag match just be so fantastic.
Yeah, they definitely got that like wild sort of like Terry Funkism a little bit, like that sort of just crazy movement, the sort of like interesting you know, selling even like moments you get off. And they just reach like such an excellent point of like intensity through their wrestling, to where like I remember watching these matches back in the day. You know, especially like back when we were doing our thing, wrestling, and you know, watching this stuff, and just I was like, there is no way in a million years I could possibly put a match together where I remember all of these like the amount of convoluted like spots when you look at this and you watch it and you're like, how on earth could anyone remember this. So I'm still just like, I watch a match like this and I'm like, how on earth do they put it together? And like
Yeah, and it's not a
I don't
short
know.
match. Like it's a
No.
like 35, 40 minute, about half an hour long match. That and like one of my notes near the end of my notes is about how deep their move sets are. Like because I'm like we're 25 minutes into this match, and I'm like they're not like obviously they're not doing anything over. They're not repeating spots, but they're also there's not even like any real like just brawling and slow like heat sections or bits where it's just slowed down and like you don't really need to think about it too much.
Mm.
Like the whole way through, they're always just doing stuff, and because they got and this is why I'm like, oh, maybe tag team is wrestling is best wrestling. They're always moving guys in and out of the match, so it's everyone's got fresh new stuff coming in all the time, and so it never slows down really. And it's which like goes to what you were saying. Like, how do you put that together? There's just so much stuff there.
So intricate. I have no idea. But I mean the best part of like when I watch this is like it is quite intricate in that like I guess I'd probably bring it up as similar to like, the Dragon Gate style or like Toriumon
Yeah.
style of wrestling where it's that really dense, really intricate where you're just like, how on earth are they, remembering all this shit and, staying so tight, through it all. But also it feels organic and it feels like it's not just going through the motions and just like, all right, fuck, 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 what's the next spot? Or like thinking about the next thing when you're doing that thing. Like they are kind of they feel like they're getting the most out of what they're doing and it feels like um like proper old school tag team wrestling. When I did the write up for this, I said how it does have like a bit of a 80s like southern tag team vibe to it. I watched this and I get like odes to the Midnight Express or like the Rock and Roll Express or the Fantastics or even like when we're talking about the Briscoes, I've always seen like something like a bit of a sheep herders sort of like vibe to the Briscoes, or
Yeah.
like the Moondogs kind of deal. That sort of like real wild southern brawling kind of like team. But then they sort of mix it with more of the obviously like the state of the art, like real exciting, like high impact, hard hitting wrestling. But yeah, I think I really love this because it sort of gave you the best of both worlds in that way. Like you did sort of get to a great sort of like southern like the bad guy team versus the good guy team. I really got the feel of like the machine guns like similar to a Midnight Express kind of like team where they are just like so good and that's like kind of what you hate about them. Other than I guess the Midnight's had the mouthpiece of James E. Cornette, which it probably helps a little bit when you're talking about like hating a team. But yeah, man, I think I love that it was such a best of both worlds scenario where you had sort of like that gritty kind of like great tag team wrestling vibe of yesteryear while it being so state of the art. And even with today's eyes, watching it with like 2026 eyes, I'm like, this would blow any like pretty well any match I could think of like of 2026 in terms of tag team wrestling out of the water. It was that state of the art at this time.
Yeah, and like sometimes when we look at these Ring of Honor matches from like the early 2000s, and I'm like, do I just like them because of the nostalgia? And I'm like, no, because A, like I think you can objectively see like these matches are still awesome, but B, like so many of these guys are still around. So I'm like, it's because they were that good then and they've continued to be good. And like like Saban and Shelley still teaming together. Mark is still doing like is still a big deal in wrestling because like they are that good. They
Oh
were that
yeah.
good then, and 20 years later, they are still good.
And undoubtedly, if it wasn't for Jay's passing, like the Briscoes would still probably be the best tag team wrestling in wrestling today, like full stop. Like they were incredible right up to the end, with that series with FTR that to me is like one of the greatest like tag team rivalries of all time.
it was I'm just because you mentioned FTR and Jay White's back, which reminded me Jay White and Juice also had those awesome matches with FTR. So like, there's still some modern tag wrestling that is awesome.
I did adore that series as well. That really long one. Was it like
Yeah,
they do like the Broadway? Man, that was incredible.
yeah, great match. As was this one. But speaking of the machine guns being heels in this,
Hmm.
Shelley is so good at being such a weedy little, like, he's just a jerk.
Oh,
Because
so
like
good.
early on in the match, he's like they've all, like, each combination sort of worked together for a bit, but then he's drawn a line across the ring. I think it was for Jay to step over. He's like,
Hmm.
"Go on, step across this line. I dare you." And Jay's just like, "Yeah, okay," and steps forward. And Shelley immediately drops to his knees and begs off. It's like, because he's just such. I don't know. It was like, but that's sort of another great thing about this match. Is like they fit in like those funny little spots, but that doesn't mean it's a comedy match or precludes them from going, or from the machine guns being still a really threatening team. Like, just
Hmm.
because they've got those silly spots, it's not because they're cowards or a weak team. It's just because that's the sort of guys they are.
Oh yeah, and that's like sort of what I'm talking about when I'm saying about like these sort of like send ups to like a team like the Midnight Express, where it's like they're obviously a really great team, but you're still going to get the moments where they powder away or do like the run up on their knees and like go into their partner for the hug to
Yeah,
like these little great moments where it's sort of like the heels showing their ass kind of thing, but then it's like they just come back all the more vicious later on. Like feel like that walking the thing of the tightrope of getting both sides of that is there's such an art to it. I love it.
yeah, so good. Going
Um,
back, sorry,
mhm.
go on.
No, what were you gonna say?
I was just going to say, going back to your art again. I've got the piece on the screen with Jay and Mark nailing Saban with their big shoulder block,
Oh my
which
gosh.
it's weird. Like, I guess it goes into like what we were saying with like their style, but it's weird how there's some moves that are just like such basic moves, like the double shoulder block or the big double beel they do. That it's like it's nothing special, but if you like, just even in your art, like, you see them do it and it's like, yeah, that's the way the Briscoes do it, though. It's not a double shoulder block that any other tag team does in quite that way, like the
I
way they
don't think
sort of
I've ever
launch
seen
themselves.
a tag team do a double shoulder block as good as the Briscoes. And yeah, like exactly as you're saying, we have like the more like nutso moves and the sweet doomsday and like the combo with the cutthroat driver and everything. But like man, there's some simple things like this when just done so well, you just like I probably pop more whenever I see them do that double shoulder block than any of those more crazy, athletically impressive maneuvers. But I always just thought that the Briscoe shoulder block was just like one of. I think when the first time I saw him do it, I'm just like, I love these guys.
Yeah, and like, you've captured it in the art, because like you can see in your art, like, neither of them are on the floor anymore. They're not on the mat anymore. They've both launched themselves sort of through the air to nail this shoulder block. So, like, which is what gives it that power, but also that bit of roughness and sloppiness that works so well for them.
Oh yeah, and it was fascinating doing this because obviously did sort of like the screen by screen bit to try to get like what I thought was sort of the coolest moment of it that really captures that sort of like Briscoe's sort of
Yeah,
whole deal with it. And I think what you said, like I know I didn't really think about it, but you kind of nailed it on the head there about them both like getting like totally airborne for it. That I think like really is an important element, and then both kind of like they really lean into it rather than
yeah,
a traditional shoulder block you're taught in wrestling. You want it to sort of be flat on, You want it to be as much surface area as possible, and to just make it as like clean and safe as you can from that standpoint. Whereas these guys, they just like both kind of like coming together, like it looks so much like chaos, and it just looks
Yeah.
so violent. And I think that's what makes it always look so awesome. And that's in no way how you're taught to do your shoulder block either.
No,
So I
like
don't
a
know if
shoulder
it's like
block.
more from their football background or what.
Yeah, a shoulder block's normally got like that ending position where you're sort of standing up that one leg forward, your chest braced, and your arm locked in. Like there's an end spot that you're supposed to end in. It's like, no,
Mm.
these guys end up almost down on the mat as well because they've launched themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It was another one, very fun to do. It was one of those things. Like I said, I feel like everyone puts over a lot of the Briscoes more real impressive kind of like double team offense. But something about that shoulder block was just absolutely beautiful. I was a little bit in two minds of doing a move where it's like, we don't get Alex Shelley in there at all, and I have so much love for Alex Shelley. We get the back of Saban's head, but at the same time, like sometimes you just got to go with the moment that your gut says.
Yeah, no, I think you made a good choice. This looks great.
Thank you, thank you. I just got an order come through. Weird timing of this one in particular for an art print. So I'm like, I guess other people dig it too, so that's nice.
Yes.
But yeah, man, this is bloody tag team wrestling. If you guys haven't, watched this one before, I'd highly recommend it. Obviously, both of these guys have some absolutely delightful matches in Ring of Honor, and this particular era of Ring of Honor as well. Both have amazing matches with Steen and Generico that you can check out as well. My last thing on this match is I remember when I was wanting to do a rewatch of it, I wanted to watch it properly, and I couldn't find the actual like full show, with the entrances intact anywhere online. So I had to actually like dust off my old actual like Ring of Honor DVD collection. That somehow I was able to find it in whatever storage box it was, and I had to like it's shockingly hard to play a DVD sometimes now. I was like trying to get it to work on our Blu-ray player or whatever, but that wasn't cooperating. And I'm having to like play it on my old like Xbox 360. But man, it was so much nostalgia came back from like the Ring of Honor DVD menu music to like watching like the video wire that used to be their YouTube show as like the intro kind of thing. I did watch a bunch of other matches from this show as well that have really sort of fully got me right back in that period. Um, Dude, I miss this stuff so much. So
What
it was a
was
very enjoyable process, and then also of course actually getting to see the entrance and the Briscoes coming out to Leonard Skinner's "Give Me Back My Bullets." Like,
I was just about
oh,
to ask that. Coincidentally, a couple of nights ago, we went to the movies and with Mitch, our friend Mitch,
mm,
and he'd bought some bullets and left them in our car when we got home. And so
mm.
Steph went to take him back to him, like the bullet candy. So Steph went to take him back to him, and I'm like, wait, you need to play this. And she's like, what are you talking about? And I'm like, that's fine, I'll just come along. So I had my phone and I had "Give Me Back My Bullets" blasting as we handed these bullets back to him. And he did not get what I was doing. Steph didn't understand what I was doing. So it was mostly just for
You still
me
got you
and
there,
some
Bradley?
Briscoes nostalgia.
Oh my
Sorry?
gosh, so good. No, sorry. You cut out in my earphones for a second, but I'm sure you recorded okay. Oh man, I love that so much. And did Mitch fully appreciate this reference?
No, I don't think he was following ROH at the time. So he's like, oh, I don't really know much Leonard Skinner. Just like, it's mostly because it's a Briscoe's entrance music that I knew it. But
I mean, he was probably like 11 years old when this match happened, so that's okay.
all right, let's get on to our final match.
All right, our
Let's
final
rip off the Band-Aid.
and likely most divisive match of the evening. As we often get, we're breaking the rules here, as I normally always say. You start with Lucha before you get into the sometimes more physical wrestling. You never end on it, but we're doing the opposite here today. Classic 80s lucha bloodbath. One of those matches that I adore in the same vein as your like MS1 versus Sangre Chicana or Perro Aguayo classics. I have so much love for El Satánico. It's just like one of the greatest Rudos of all time. His intensity, his like just it's almost like he created the archetype that we would then see, repeated by the all-time greats like Ultimo Guerrero or Dr. Wagner Jr. or any of your more contemporary big name Rudos like and especially like such an interesting match because again like I'd have to look it up, but I feel like Atlantis very young. He actually was in his rookie year in this one. Man, that is insane. But so this officially took place on January 20th, 1984, in CMLL, or as it was known at the time, EMLL, at the historic long-time home of El Consejo, Arena Coliseo, and my gosh, this thing was just so lovable for me in so many different ways. But I think the point that I loved the most was the bit where it got so violent that apparently we had video issues or recording issues that made it go black and white in like a Kill Bill-esque moment for the big bloody fight scene from that movie. That brought me a next level of joy, and especially like seeing that it's like them actually putting like a little excuse, like there was like recording issues or something. Oh my
God. Down the bottom of the screen, the problemas de transmisión.
So great. Yeah, Atlantis was 21 years old in this match. Okay, so he was rookie of the year prior. So very young. So I think we need to give him a little bit of grace for some of the stuff here. But he already had that heart that I feel like anyone that's watched any Atlantis from much in his more senior years, that was always what I think really made him the ídolo de los niños. But yeah, this match I feel is so different to so much of what we see today. It again felt very fresh to me in a totally different way. Similar to the aforementioned shoot star match that we watched earlier. But what were your immediate thoughts, Bradley?
All right, I'm going to get this bit out of the way first so that I can be more positive for the rest of it. And like, it's not even super bad. Like, it wasn't sort of super the match for me, but like, I can still appreciate like a lot of stuff going on. But it was my not even biggest takeaway, but one of my takeaways was how much of a rookie Atlantis seemed. Like, he's got that athleticism that like a new young guy would probably have. Like early on in the match, he's like leapt just straight to the top of the top corner and then jumped off with a crossbody. I'm like, that's a massive vertical leap. I'm like, this guy's amazing. And then it's sort of the match after that where it was mostly just like he keeps sort of turning towards the crowd with his like hands open, posing for them. Like after every move he does, like, yeah, like cheer for me. Look at the thing I just did. But it was after everything. It was like, even after a botch he did. And I'm like, you really just got to stop with this a little bit. And so
there was a bit as well I noticed in this, similar to what you're saying. He was a little bit repetitive with like some of his moves as well. Almost like
every move came in pairs.
He hasn't really mastered that many moves yet, so we really have to make the most out of the ones that we have.
I think it might have been a bit of like when he's done a move and the crowd's popped for it, so it's like, I'll do it again then. And so a bit of that, like it was like, oh, I've hit a spine buster, everyone loved it, I'm going to hit another spine buster. It's like it worked once, like you don't need to keep going. So yeah, could tell a bit that Atlantis was either not good, which I don't think is the case, or a bit new, which obviously is what the truth of it is. But fortunately,
the
had
beautiful innocence of a rookie Atlantis.
yeah. But lucky he had El Satánico in there, who was great. Like he's holding that match together, and I was enjoying him very much.
Oh man, I think I chose this as sort of like, I feel like sometimes you watch a match where someone is clearly doing the heavy lifting. Similar to that, like incredible like SummerSlam Bret Hart versus Davey Boy Smith match from Wembley, and it just goes to like it shows even more how special they were, and I feel you really see that in Atlanta. I mean, in Satánico here. I feel like this match really like, despite being like like probably one of the earlier Satánico matches that I've seen, he already is like so absolutely incredible at being that like Rudo-Maestro. Like he knows exactly what he's doing in terms of like getting heat, in terms of like controlling his opponent. Once we get into like the bloody bits and like the tearing the mask and the biting the wound and all that kind of stuff, I'm just like, yeah, dude.
Yeah, he won me over early on because he runs the ropes the same way I run the ropes, which is he comes off the side instead of off the back, which is just how I was taught to do it. And it's like, and I don't know, no one else does it that way because it's not really the right way to do it, I guess. But once I saw Satánico doing that, I'm like, yeah, this is my guy. He runs the rope side on like I do. But then yeah, his heel work through the match was sweet. There was the one spot where he's yanking on Atlantis's mask, and like the ref gives him the count and he doesn't stop, and so then the ref starts like pulling on Satánico's head. Like that's so good. He's like having to physically wrench him off, he had him almost in a headlock, trying to stop him from attacking this poor young Atlantis.
Oh, and that is like, I always love a good like old Mexican wrestling referee where it's just, they got to impart that legit like authority where it's like, dude, all right, I'm not having that in my ring. You get off him. I'm not above pulling your hair if I need to. One of those tropes I really, really enjoy.
Yeah. Another thing I noticed about this old school Mexican wrestling, that ring sounded so hard. Every time they took a bump, it was just this, like there was no spring or bounce. It was just this thud to it. And it was like, and Satánico's taken most of the bumps because he's the heel. And I'm just like, man, that feels so rough.
Oh, spine buster on that shit? Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
No, and it's like I understand why the luchadors sort of learned like the roll through a lot of the bumps sort of thing if this is the type of ring that they were working in, because yeah, taking bumps on that repeatedly, no thank you.
Oh, I mean, it definitely makes you appreciate the bumps a heck of a lot more. The funny thing is, like, even now, like, you watch current CMLL, and the ring still seems so bloody hard. It still barely moves. Like, this one somehow seemed even harder, like it was reinforced with concrete or something. Yeah. Oh, man. I think there's an argument to be made where, does it lead to a greater longevity wrestling on a harder surface, but taking less flat back bumps than you would in one where you're like, it's not that bad. Like, I mean, Satánico wrestled to what? He was like in his 70s when he had that final match at Dos Leyendas this year. So, and then Atlantis is still going. So, what does that tell you?
I guess so. I still don't want to take that bump, but I guess so.
Oh, I think the escalation in this one really got me. I loved the violence. Like once we get like Satánico like bleeding as well, like towards the end. And this had such like a classic sort of youth and naivety kind of thing, the innocence thing we're talking about versus like the crafty veteran. Like it had just like a really like laid on thick kind of like story behind it. But I thought they did it so well, and almost like in Atlantis being a little bit more on the rookie side, as we're saying, it kind of for me made it even better. Like because it almost made like the story even more legit. If you kind of follow me.
Yeah, and sort of it it worked a bit as well in that like the mistakes that Atlantis was making, like it makes sense because he's a rookie, and so like mistakes, like legitimate like things he did that weren't right, but like then also just like a bit in the structure of the match, which might not have even been stuff that was planned out, but like at one point he's gone for a flying headbutt and missed, and then like the running flying headbutt,
Mm.
and Satánico's just sort of ducked out of the way and noped him. And then he's gone for another one in the corner, he hit it. And then he's gone for another one and missed again. And I'm like, 2 out of 3 is a pretty, sorry, 1 out of 3 is a pretty poor success rate. So like, you probably shouldn't be doing that. But like, he's a rookie, and Satánico's like has the experience edge on him. So like, that makes sense that that the rookie's sort of going for stuff that he thinks can do the job, but it just isn't working out, and the guy who's a bit more of a vet is able to avoid it.
Yeah, and I thought this really, put over. Like, you get to the end of this, and you're like, my takeaway was like, all right, uh, Satanico is an absolute like master and one of the greatest bad guys of all time. And even a very young Atlantis, you could be like, all right, I can see how this guy ended up becoming one of the greatest like technico luchadors of all time in his own right.
I mean, sure. The way he sold everything, like every time he was taking the heat for a bit, and he sold everything, like he's just on the mat and sort of rolling around like he's like Peter Griffin with the banged shin. Like I'm like, that's okay occasionally, but you gotta think of some new ways to sell this. You're starting to feel a bit silly.
Well, as we watch Atlantis mature, we get a bit more subtlety and craftiness come into play. So
Oh, I'm certain. I'm certain. Like, yeah, he's not get, when you're like a year or two in. Yeah, you're not a perfect wrestler yet. Fair enough.
oh my gosh, far from that. I remember when I was like a year or two in, I was like honestly a very, very terrible professional wrestler. Like I don't even think I was that good by the time I finished. But like when you look at those like early years, you're like, man, like I just for the very few that just like take to it like a duck to water from like the very start. Um like it just blows my mind that some dudes can just be, you know, incredible at it immediately.
Yeah.
Wrestling's hard, man.
It wasn't too bad.
Oh man, yeah, it's so good, and I enjoyed making the art of this one. You know, choosing that moment of Satanico, like getting the proper heat and like getting his little fingers and shit in uh, Atlantis's bloody mask, and as you mentioned, like the referee, like that's right, that moment I think of the referee getting him by the hair and using his
Yeah.
his cheeky little mullet to try to pull his hair to get him off of him, like that to me is the definition of like heat, and like what these kind of like incredible lucha bloodbaths are all about. Um, and I know like referencing a more current match that was probably the closest thing we've had to a lucha bloodbath in CMLL for the longest time. A lot of hype for that Mystico versus MJF match. And
Okay.
granted, I'll agree with everyone and say I did think that match was absolutely awesome. But the one thing that I really wish that we got more of was more of this side of it, more of that sort of like uncomfortable, really like working the cut, like getting the fingers in there, the gross shit, like the properly like making the most of the bleeding. That's what I sort of was wanting more of in that one. Um, And I guess that's what I really, really loved about this one and those other sort of like Sangre Chicana and MS1 kind of classics.
Yeah, it's like, and it was weird because it did go to that black and white when they started bleeding. It's like, but you can still see that glisten of the blood. Like, even it probably helped that because I'd read your write up a bit before I watched the match, so I knew that I was looking for the blood as well. But it was like, it's there. It's harder to see, but it's there because we're also looking at a video that's like the just the quality of it's not that good because it's old tape.
So grainy. Like it's
Yeah.
1984 footage. But still you can see what's going on. And that black and white bit to me just heightened the sort of almost made the violence seem even more violent in a way. Similar to, I'm not sure if you had the same thing with the original Kill Bill movie, where you watch that scene in its proper, like in the original black and white format. And then, have you ever seen like the Japanese cut where you can watch it in full color?
I have not. I'm been hanging out to see the whole bloody affair when it didn't get released here, so I don't know when it's somewhere digital that I can watch it.
Yeah.
Or
yeah,
if you know a cinema that's showing it, I'd love to see it. If at any time that comes on at the cinema, I'm super keen to see the all put together one, but which I think has that the colored footage there.
Absolutely. I mean, it's very unfortunate I didn't get a theatrical release over here. And I spoke to the guys at Astor Theatre down in Melbourne, in Windsor, because they normally love that shit.
Yeah.
And they were as frustrated as we were. They're like, we wanted to get it. We asked for it, but they just couldn't get the license for the Australian release at that time. So they said they were going to continue pushing for it. So hopefully they'll have it at some point. But as far as like I remember getting the DVD of Kill Bill 1, like the special like Japanese one. It was like one I bought like back in the day off winning like an eBay auction. You get this this collector's item. And the big thing that stood out to me, and I don't know if you'll feel the same way, but watching it in color, you're like, oh, it's cool to see, but it doesn't quite have the gravitas that the when it goes to black and white in terms of like a stylized, like feeling like you're watching something that's dirty and needs to be censored because it's so violent kind of thing. Like um I don't know. For me, that's what we get here, where it like goes black and white, and it makes it feel even more gritty and violent than it even is if you had just seen it in color, kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. That was I'm starting to get onto a Kill Bill thing rather than this match thing, but that was a big part of what I liked about the original Kill Bill was like how they had all the different sort of media types within the movie. Like they had the black and white section, they had the animated section, and they've got like the different bits that all comes together as a cohesive whole. But yes, the black and white sort of. I wonder if
We have lost Bradley.
it's black and white. It's funny that they had to do this back in the day to cover up the blood. Well,
I don't know how it works, but I'm a fan of it. I generally do not like censorship, but the timeless, go to black and white thing always worked for me. Or in the old any of those like southern territories where they do like a real heavy blood angle, and they'd have like the big X come up on the screen to show it's so violent that they can't possibly show the stabbing of the arm, or whatever Dusty Rhodes has been cut deeply by whatever the heel is, and is just bleeding like a stuck pig. Like, and something about censorship when done right, it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, just lets you know that the man didn't want us to see it.
Exactly. Well, this has been a delightful chat, Brad. I feel like we ended up doing this in a semi, not going too crazy amount of time here. But did you have any final thoughts of any of our trio of watching material here today?
No, I don't think so. I think I've sort of just clicked back through my notes. Is there anything that I really wanted to say that I didn't say? Do you think Mark Briscoe can still do a shooting star press? Probably not, right?
Ooh,
He
I
did
don't
one in this
know.
match.
He's a crazy man, so I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, I don't know. I'm trying to think back to like who's probably the oldest dude that I've ever seen do a shooting star, and it's really not the kind of thing that you see that many 40-plus-year-old guys do, right? Anyone
No,
ringing a bell for you?
no. I don't need him to. I'm just like when he did it in this match, I'm like, I don't think I've seen him do that in a long time. But
Hmm. Yeah, but it stood out to me like how much of a like he's still like a fun as shit wrestler to watch. He's still one of my very favorites. But yeah, watching just how young he was, and especially that like early era, I feel like this was right when he started leaning into like the wild redneck kung fu kind of stuff
yeah,
as well. Like was
yeah. I
before it
don't think
even
they
sort of
really.
had like a name.
I was just about to say that because the commentators didn't really know what to call it when he did the karate chop to the head, and I go, I guess he does karate now. I'm like, no, this is classic redneck kung fu. What are we talking about?
So good. And yeah, I think this it really also just man, it makes me miss Jay, dude. Oh,
Yeah.
not to get too sad, but dang, that guy was so bloody good.
What it makes me, what I was thinking of during the match, and was the the story early on in ROH where uh Joe had the belt, and I think Jay was going for it, and like Jay could never beat him, but then Joe could never beat the Briscoes, like no matter who he tagged with. It's like
Mm,
as a tag team, unbeat, like he didn't have their number, but neither one of them could like beat him in singles. It's like
mm.
that feels like that's such a cool story that it's like that's the only time I've seen it or heard seen it happen, and that's 20 plus years ago. It's like why hasn't anyone redone that story? It's a really cool thing to sort of elevate tag team wrestling without devaluing any singles guys.
See, I think that's generally the problem. Because Ring of Honor back then and Gabe Sapolsky like did an incredible job, I reckon, of like presenting tag team wrestling as being of equal importance to singles. So you
Yeah,
could watch an average show and it be main evented by like, you know, Austin Aries and Roderick Strong against the Briscoes, or
yeah,
any of these like top tag teams, like Roddy and Jack Evans against like the Briscoes, or whatever tag team you got, Matt Sydal and Chris Daniels, like
Kings of
AJ
Wrestling.
Styles and Red, Kings of Wrestling, so many great teams. And they did just such a wonderful job of presenting it as equally important. So if that tag title match was the main event, you're just like, oh yeah, of course it should be.
Yeah,
Where and a lot of those southern territories used to do that as well, like especially like Jim Crockett Promotions like back in the day, or a lot of those southern things, like the tag teams would be presented as equally important, whereas you just don't seem to see that approach anymore. Like people don't present tag team as important as the main event of the singles competition, and I think that sucks. And I think that's the gist of the problem. I would love to see someone, bring back sort of the importance of presenting tag team wrestling as great as it can be, and that it's like just as important as the single stuff.
yeah, and like as opposed to like your like secondary belts, like intercontinental belts and global titles and whatever else. Like it's got its own niche that you're like, yeah, you can be a guy who is a good tag team guy, and so like it can be its own separate thing that yeah is as equally as important. It's not because you are not good enough to be the main champ guy, it's because you're really good at this other thing.
Hmm. You know who I think's to blame?
Who?
That Vince Jr. fellow. I think he
What?
never
I've heard
really
nothing
gave.
but good things about him.
I hear he's a top bloke. But yeah, I feel like his disdain for tag team wrestling in general is what has been copied by everyone now. Even like current AEW. I feel like there's so many tropes that we see that are just like this bad WWF, WWE stuff. Like, so I feel like it seeps out now. It's almost everyone's just accepted this is the way it's done. And that's not always the way that it was done. So hopefully there'll be someone that comes around and it's like, you know what? Tag team wrestling is great, and it is just as important, if not more important, than the singles.
Yeah, it's just like a tag-centric promotion.
That's what I would like, please.
What's
But
TNA doing?
anyway,
Sure.
yeah, they could do it. Well, I'm hearing good things about MLW these days.
Okay.
We'll see. But I think that brings us to the close of this delightful wandering chat of the podcast today. I would like to thank you, my friend, for joining us today.
I enjoy it as always.
I'd like to thank all of our lovely listeners at home, especially those who have been hankering for a match of the week episode of this podcast. It's been a hot minute, but I had a lot of fun doing this thing. It's reminded me how much I miss just nerding out with my friends about sweet wrestling.
Yeah, man, it's fun. I feel like now when we catch up, we don't necessarily always get to talk about wrestling that much because it's like, yeah, cult luchas, and you got stuff to do, or at wrestling club, and like we're actually watching the wrestling, so we don't have the time to necessarily talk about it outside of what's going on the screen at that very moment. So yeah, fun. It's always fun to do these, so we can actually dig into it a bit deeper.
Oh, definitely. I think in some ways I probably don't watch as much current wrestling as I have like in other times of my life. So it's like I sometimes have a bit less to sort of like talk to other people about, that we've like, oh, how great was this thing? Other than, like we watched WrestleMania together and we both got to, enjoy how bloody incredible that Punk Roman match was. But it's not like I'm watching a lot of other current stuff these days. So I appreciate when we get to, whatever it is that we're watching together, when we get to sort of like just vibe on it and enjoy the wonder of professional wrestling. But I am planning. I'm excited to get into this year's G1. Are you doing this as always?
I'll see. I think last year I sort of only did the finals because it's just there's so much of it. But I don't know. I'll have a look at the blocks and see if there's a block that I want to at least vaguely follow. There's got to be Zach's in it, so like
I'm
there's
definitely
going to be
planning
people
on
I like.
doing the like cherry picking thing that I've done the last few years. I think my days of watching these entire shows like is long behind me. But I feel like there's a lot of really interesting looking matches. I'm a big time fan of Yuya Uemura. I'm always like, oh, is this his year? Is this his year? I feel like Shota has gotten like so much better like recently. So I'm like really interested and intrigued to watch some of his matches, especially that rematch with Zach after how great a match they had last year. I was very sad that Taichi missed out on this year's G1. However, I'm also very, very excited for one of my new hot favorites, Yudo Ice. I'm very excited to just see him against everyone, basically. So I think it's going to be a good year.
I need to have a look and work out who's in these blocks. I'm still seeing the picture of the thing where they had to decide on the last couple of people. So I didn't know Yudo was in it. That's fine. I'll track that down and work it out. But like even just at a glance, it looks like one of them's got B-Box got Zach and Callum Newman. Which Callum Newman, man, dude moves so well for a dude as big as he is. So Zach, Callum, Shota, Yuya, Drilla Maloney, Hanare, Gabe Kidd, Ren Narita. Yeah, man, that's a pretty stacked block.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the other block looks fantastic as well, I thought. The
Takeshita,
Yudo Ice
Shingo,
block.
Goto's in it. Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah. No. Oh, yes. Now you've got me excited for some G1. Yes, I'll be watching some of the
Hey!
G1.
I did
For
my
sure.
job, baby.
Hell yeah.
Well, I'm sure we'll have some G1 goodness to appreciate in the coming weeks with the match of the week series. So please stay tuned on the Chris Things on Instagram. christhings.com.au is the website where these print skis are available. So if you would like any of the ones that we spoke about today, jump on there and snap them up. Also, big thank you to the great team at Social Suplex for allowing me to do 100 and however many podcasts this has been. I still get a kick out of doing this thing. Socialsuplex.com, the home of this podcast, as well as a variety of other fun wrestling audio content from One Nation Radio, Keeping It Strong Style, All Things Elite. We've got the Imps AEW Adventure. I'm pretty sure I've been calling it Imps WWE Adventure for like the last forever, and he stopped doing that like ages ago. So I'm finally correcting myself. Tunnel Talk, the Trish and Sarah podcast, a lot of fun stuff to check out. Social Suplex, thank you for letting me do this thing. And yeah, again, thank you to all of y'all out there who are listening and getting some sort of joy about hearing me lollygag about the Russells. I enjoy it. I have fun doing it, and I have fun getting to have an excuse to talk to my dear pal Bradley. Thanks, man.
Not a problem at all. I love chatting to you. Have a good one.
Well, until not next week. I do this on a fortnightly basis. Until the week after next, I have been Chris Things Brian, and this has been Wrestling Up with Chris Things.
Yeah, do the hammerlock. I do the hammerlock. Everybody's doing it. Do the eye gouge. Yeah, do the eye gouge. Do the eye gouge, you turkey necks. Yeah, do the eye gouge. I do the eye gouge. Everybody's doing it. Okay, you turkey nuts, gather around. Let me show you how to do the crusher.
All right. Good times.
Yeah, good times.